Good morning, friends. Today we will discuss agriculture topics. Agricultural topics are very important for your interviews. Currently, UPSC interviews are going on, and rest of the students are preparing for prelims and mains. The topics which I am going to discuss here are of very importance to those who are from rural areas or whose father's profession is farmer or whose optional is agriculture, and for rest of the student also, agriculture being one of the famous topic in mains as well as interviews. So these topics which I am going to discuss will immensely help. Since I had list of these topics, I had also prepared, and these topics had helped me during my preparation. So I thought, let us enumerate the list of topics before you so that you can have bare idea about different aspects of agriculture, and you can prepare subsequently also, but you will have a list of all the topics. Before starting the topics, you need to have collection of data related with agriculture. So for example, if you know that the workforce which is involved in agriculture, so more than 50% of the workforce population is involved in agriculture being the primary activity or primary sector. Now we know that there are 86% farmers who are small and marginal farmers, and not more than 2 hectares of the land is with this farmer. So based on that, it is the classification of small and marginal farmers. We know that what is the agricultural credit access to the farmer. How many, if you look at rural agriculture household survey, you understand that more than 50% farmers are debt-ridden farmers. Then what is the contribution to the GDP of agriculture? What is the percentage of contribution of agriculture to global economy or global export? So export, I think export में 2% के अराउंड कंट्रीब्यूशन है इंडियन एग्रीकल्चर का. तो ये सारे जो डेटाज है उनको आपको कलेक्ट करना है. तो फर्स्ट you start with data, you collect relevant data of agriculture so that you can quote those details in your mains answer writing or in your interviews. You just confirm about this. I think 0.2% or 2%, something around that is the data. So one is data. Second, green revolution and agriculture. So we know that green revolution was introduced in 1960s 70s. Green revolution was initially introduced in Punjab, Haryana, Western Uttar Pradesh region. It was also introduced in Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu region. So who were the scientists who introduced green revolution? What were the factors which actually enabled to introduce green revolution, providing high yielding varieties and the fertilizer to these regions? What are the positive outcome of green revolution? What are the negative outcome of green revolution? Most of the time we come across the issue of soil pollution because of the irrational use of fertilizers during green revolution. How actually it led to the threat to the environmental and other biological aspects, biodiversity aspect of the ecosystem. So that is also one of the important topic. Then Indian economy and agriculture. So I have already talked a bit in data section, but you read about exports, agriculture export, then what are the agricultural imports related things. For example, we import oil, edible oil from other countries. Then what are the commodities which we export, what is the contribution of Indian agriculture to economy, to export, to global export, India's economy. So these point around agriculture you need to prepare. There are certain current affairs event, because of the Ukraine-Russia war there was deficiency in food grain supply, so that also impacted. Then there are oil seeds which are cultivated in particular region, let's say in Ukraine and in Latin America. The oil seeds are oil seeds are, or I would say these countries or these regions are very important in providing the edible oil to the world, and most of the exports happen from those regions. So what is our situation with respect to that? Recently we had a plan to cultivate palm oil trees, and that actually had also some concern, so that was also in the news. So all the aspects related with economy and agriculture, so you should read those aspects. Then farm loan waiver. This topic is time and again in the news. One rather political party will promise farm loan waivers once they come into the power. So there is the issue of moral hazard, as we know. So this issue, why there is necessity of farm loan waiver, because one side may argue that there are 86% small and marginal farmers, and other side there will be a counter argument that it will actually disturb the discipline discipline of loan repayment, or it will cause a moral hazard. Then what is way forward, whether it is a sustainable solution or not. So you need to be aware about these issues. Then there is agricultural credit related information, agricultural credit and finance. So what are the different schemes? You know that there is priority sector lending norms where it is mandated that 18% to be given to the agriculture, 18 to 20% given to be the agriculture sectors, 40% is priority sector lending threshold. Then the Kisan credit card, right? So even there are money installments given to the farmers every year. So what are those credit and finance related initiatives and the mechanisms? The farmers are not getting timely access to the credit, because as we know that there is very narrow window within which farmers need to get money to buy their inputs for their farm, so be it fertilizers, be it seeds. But because of the lack of collateral, and as we all know, in rural areas and in most of the part of the India, because of the land disputes, because of the lack of clarity in the land entitlements, there are disputes, and that's why they don't have land to give as a collateral in banks. So because of that, they don't get timely access to the credit, and that's why they resort to informal lenders and saukars and other types of informal lenders. They give loans to farmers with very high interest rate, and that also create the problem of debt, and that also leads to farmer suicide. So agriculture credit and finance related issues you need to study, you need to make notes of that. Then sixth point is farmer suicide. Farmer suicide. So what are the reasons why agrarian crisis is leading to farmer suicide? Then why there are more farmer suicide in Marathwada and Vidarbha region as compared to Western Maharashtra, or the farmers in other state, it may be Bihar, it may be Rajasthan, then we don't find that much farmer suicide in these states. Why then farmer suicides are more common in Marathwada, Vidarbha, Saurashtra, Kutch region? So what are the specific reasons, and how we can avoid these farmer suicides? What are the different organizations or non-profit organizations which are working to reduce farmer suicide, how they are creating awareness? So all these issues and these aspects about farmer suicides you need to prepare. Seventh topic, I would say employment. As we know, agriculture sector of India is overemployed. There are more than required number of people working in agriculture sectors, and that's why the optimum use of workforce is not there. So how we can address this issue? What is the percentage of workforce which is involved in agriculture, and vis-a-vis what is the contribution of agriculture? Because if we are investing X number of workforce in agriculture, whether that is giving proportionate amount or contribution to the economy or not. So, and why this problem is there? So, and there are also colonial factors, so you need to have the understanding about that. If employment in agriculture is to be optimum, then how we can divert the surplus workforce which is engaged in agriculture, how to do that, and what are the drawbacks of that? So all these things you need to prepare, you need to think, and you need to ponder around that. Then eighth issue, I would say, climate smart agriculture. Climate smart agriculture is there in the news. So what is meant by climate smart agriculture? How agriculture can help reduce greenhouse gases? What agronomic measures, what are the technologies, what are the approaches in cultivation of crops could be undertaken to reduce or to sequester for carbon sequestration, or to reduce greenhouse gases emissions? So there is a livestock and other allied sector as well. So have understanding of those issues as well. Then specifically read about small and marginal farmers and their issues. So there are more than 86% of small and marginal farmers in India, how they are categorized and what are the issues faced by them. Do read about those. Then farm technology. And farm market. So in farm technology and farm markets, we do comparison of Indian farming and other countries farming. So most of the time you may read articles about other countries farmers getting higher remuneration or higher income as compared to ours. Why? Because it is said that these countries farmers have access to quality technology and quality markets, and there are certain arrangements which enable them to access quality technology, and because of that they are able to realize more prices. So what is farm technology? How mechanical organization of agriculture, or how there has been atomization in farming sectors. So you read that. Apart from that, you read about nanotechnology, how nano sensors are deployed to do smart farming. What is the soilless agriculture? So in farm technology you will come across soilless farming is there. Then there is a hydroponics. Then there is aquaponics. Then there is also aeroponics, vertical farming. Then there is a protective farming. A lot of new techniques have been introduced, so you read about those techniques as well. Then there is a farm market. So how farmers access particular market, how they marketize their crops or food grains. So you need to read about that. So this issue is also very important. We will go to the next point, which is GM crops. What are genetically modified crops? You read about different crops which are legally cultivated in India. There is a BT cotton. Apart from that, which are other genetically modified crops which are under process or under consideration. Time and again you will read debate about DM mustard or other GM crops. Recently the GM rubber was also introduced in northeastern country, I think Assam. So you read about GM crops, what are their advantages, what are their disadvantages, what are the different recommendations and observations, whether it is sustainable or not, and other arguments. So this topic is also very important. Then there is one issue which is asked many times. We shifted from agriculture sector to service sector. So this was structural shift in our economy, and we were not able to realize the manufacturing or industrial sectors, and because of this there are certain challenges created to India. One is we are not able to provide employment opportunities through industrial or manufacturing sector. We are not able to absorb surplus workforce into these sectors because we were not able to expand. We were not able to realize the potential of this because there was liberalization, privatization, globalization, and there was fast rise in the tertiary sectors or the service sectors, and our workforce got shifted into service sector. They realized the opportunities given by service sectors, and we had very less chance, less scope to realize the benefits or expand our secondary sector or manufacturing or industrial sector. So that aspect you also read. What is actually that structural shift in our from primary sector to tertiary sector? Then you can read in general about agrarian crisis being faced. So it can include all. So it can include erratic rainfalls, then it can include farmer suicide, lack of remunerative prices. It can also talk about lack of market access, lack of access to technology. So there are various aspects under agrarian crisis. So you compile a list of those points under agrarian crisis, and you be ready with that so that you can easily answer in interview or in mains also. Then seeds. We know that green revolution, we could realize the benefit of green revolution because there were high yielding varieties and the quality seeds were given to the farmers, and those were supplemented by fertilizers, and that led to huge production. So seeds, there are many types of seeds. There is a seed replacement ratio. This term is very important, right? And there's a lot been effort towards this improvement of seed replacement rate, how the quality seeds could be provided to the farmers. There are seed banks. So everything around seeds, you prepare topics, few points on this. उसके बाद है APMC's मंडी, agriculture produce market committees, and there is also ENAM, National Agriculture Market. So these are significant initiatives, significant steps taken towards increasing the farmers' income. So you read about these APMCs and National Agriculture Market, how the farmers is not just limited to one APMCs, but he can sell his produce in other mandis as also through ENAM, and how APMC works, how farmer actually interacts with these APMCs, and whether APMC is able to realize the price, who are the middlemen. So there are a lot of aspects around APMCs. So you read those aspects also. Then 17th point is contract farming. Contract farming. So in order to increase farm income, in order to increase the remunerative prices, the farmers, the private sector can involve itself in farming sector. So they can do this through contract farming. How there would be a contract between private parties and farmers. There would be some agreement. They will provide the quality technology and seeds to the farmers. Then they will grow their produce, and after that they will sell this produce to the private players at higher prices, and they will realize high income. Then there are, what are the concerns regarding contract farming, what are the positives, what are the negatives. So you prepare on that line. where which are the states where the contract farming is. There are states in northern India, even in Maharashtra to some extent, the contract farming is being practiced. Then recent acts, there were 3 acts introduced. Actually, those were introduced and these acts were later repealed. What are those 3 acts and what they actually talked about? You need to prepare on those aspects. So one was on essential commodities, one on contract farming, then there was open market. So the farmers were allowed to sell the produce beyond these APMC's mandis. So private players could actually get purchased their food grains from farmers outside mandis. They could sell it. So there were these 3 laws, these acts, and they had introduced with intention to increase the farmers' income. There were farmer protests. So why those protests were there? What were the concerns around these acts? What these acts actually talked about? So you prepare these topics very well for your interview and for mains as well. Then minimum support price. What is minimum support price? How many crops are included into MSP? What is the purpose of MSP? How it reduces the risk of the farmers? How it actually helps them to increase their income? Then issues around MSP about procurement. Even if there is the promise of higher prices, whether these crops or these food grains are procured, then what was the price deficiency payment mechanisms, which actually modified version of MSP, Bhavantar Bhugtan Yojana of Madhya Pradesh. So there are certain developments around MSP, and there have been time and again issues raised about reforms in MSP. So you prepare topic on that. Then you must have heard about backward linkages and forward linkages. So what are backward linkages? So collect list of backward linkages, collect list of forward linkages. In backward linkages, fertilizer is there, seed is there, water is there. So whatever things are there at farm level or before cultivation of crop, all these will come in backward linkages. Whatever things which are important in post harvest phase, it can be markets, it can be roads, then it can be warehousings, right, food processing, etc. So all other things are forward linkages. So compile list of backward linkages, forward linkages, and use these key terms in your answers. Then there is a food processing industries. There is a Sampada scheme by government. So how food processing is important, how it will increase the value of produce so that farmers will realize more income, how it will reduce waste. So all these aspects you study about food processing industries. You study about the Sampada scheme, one district, one product scheme. Then there is another scheme called top to total. So these all things are related with food processing. So you study those, you make notes of those issues. Then 2 important buzzword: zero budget natural farming and organic farming. Padma Shri Subhash Palekar ji, he introduced this concept, zero budget natural farming. So what are the 4 components? Bijamitra, Jivamitra, mulching, Wafsa, etc. So you read those points. What is the advantage of zero budget natural farming? What are the disadvantage of zero budget natural farming or concerns around zero budget natural farming? Then issue of organic farming. So recently there was one issue of food crisis in Sri Lanka. So you relate it with organic farming. Then what is the difference between zero budget natural farming and organic farming? Whether zero budget natural farming employs any kind of fertilizers, but in organic farming you would find there are organic fertilizers. So whether there is metals, heavy metals in zero budget natural farming or organic farming, where is it found? So whether it will truly lead to the increase in the yield or production. So there are different arguments about it. But what about the quality of the produce? Zero budget natural farming will lead to the quality produce, because most of the time we see that because of the fertilizers and other chemicals, the quality of the produce degrades. Sometimes it is threatening. So there are different pros and cons associated with these issues. So you need to prepare, you need to read about these issues and be ready with these issues. Then Mission Krishnoti. So this is main scheme related with agriculture. There are different pillars within this scheme, but this is a major scheme. So you read about these schemes and its various pillars. Then time and again we read about precision agriculture technology. Precision agriculture technology, within which you find two technologies. One is drip and second sprinkler irrigation, and how these two technologies will lead to more water use efficiency. So read about precision agriculture technologies. Are there any other technologies which can help us to do precision agriculture? Read about these topics, important again. Then 26th point is comparison between Israel agriculture and India's agriculture, or comparison between Japan agriculture and India's agriculture. So likewise you study how agriculture is practiced, what is the situation of agriculture in other countries. That will help you, that will give an edge in your interview and in your mains answer writing. Then important aspect which has helped farmers in India to grow their produce more, that is agricultural extension. So read about agricultural extension, lab to land program, what is the role of agricultural scientists and Krishi Vigyan Kendras in empowering the farmers with adoption of new technologies, adoption of new approaches, methodologies, new agronomic measures to grow their produce. So read about these topics also. Then you read about women and agriculture. So what is the percentage of women working in agriculture? How many percentage of contribution to agriculture is done by women and to the GDP? Land holdings by women. Then how many women cultivate agriculture? There are different concepts like feminization of agriculture, or why only male farmers commit suicide. So there are a lot of questions which have been asked on this topic in interview. So you prepare this issue holistically. You can browse, you can search, and you can collect various points and do mention data while you answer. 29th topic is food security. You must be aware about National Food Security Act, within which one pillar is public distribution system, and how food grains are procured by Food Corporation of India, and how they are delivered to states, and how through states they reach to the fair price shops. So all these aspects, and how food security is ensured. In PDS you know that 50% population, urban population, and 75% rural population is covered under this, so that effectively giving 66 to 67% of India's population under food cover. So what is food security? It's a definition. How food security is ensured by Indian agriculture. What are the system in place to ensure that? So you do read about this. And there is one term called food sovereignty as well. So this term was very much in the news when there were Ukraine and Russia conflicts going on. Then recently you must have heard about one word called agripreneurs. So entrepreneurs in agriculture sector or agro based industries. What are the different agripreneurs? What are their startups, or how new emerging trends are there in agriculture, how it is becoming as one of the profession, as a career to people, to youth, etc. So you do study about agripreneurs. Then cropping pattern. What is cropping pattern? Why there is need to change the cropping pattern? How cropping pattern is beneficial to soil health? How cropping pattern is important from water point of view? We already know that there are certain crops which are cultivated more again and again, which consumes more water, and there was also one term called virtual export of water. Right, virtual export of water, and that happens mainly through rice and wheat, right? So it's mainly in the news because of rice. So what is virtual export of water? You read about that, you read about the cropping pattern. What are the changes which need to be ensured? The next point is youth and agriculture. Right, you must be knowing about scheme ARIA, attaining and retaining youth in agriculture, whether youth are preferring agriculture as their career option. Is agriculture a promising career? What are the incentives given to youth to adopt agriculture as their career? What are the schemes and initiatives? You read about that, why youth is not attracted to agriculture, why they are actually moving away from agriculture. So all these aspects, prepare notes on that. Then food farmer producers organizations. So government in last couple of years had talked about creating 10,000 food farmer producer organization. Why farmer producer organization is important for small and marginal farmers? How they can collectively realize more income? So read about farmer producer organizations and what are these farmer producer organizations. Then next topic which is very important is farm income measurement or farmer income measurement. Right, we had data about farmers income in 2013-14 I guess, and after that there was Ashok Dalwai committee who talked about doubling farmers income, but we don't have estimates of farmers income. Even there was a debate, government promised for giving 1.5 times the cost of the production as the income to farm produce, as the prices to farm produce. And again there was another argument from other scientists which talked about the formula which was suggested by M.A. Swaminathan committee, which talked about comprehensive cost to be taken as a criteria to calculate farmer produce price. So what is difference between these two? How the farmer income is estimated, when it was last estimated, what is average or annual farm income? So everything around this issue you study and you make notes of those issues. Then one of the important question in interview is farmer income and taxation. So should we tax farm income? So there are both arguments, yes and not. There are again middle paths. Few says that the 86% small and marginal farmers don't have the remunerative prices or don't have that much income which can be taxed. but there are a few farmers who have large land holdings and they earn much more from farm, so they should be taxed. So there is debate going on, so you need to prepare these issues thoroughly. Then Green Revolution 2.0. So if there would be Green Revolution, what is Green Revolution 2.0? Will it be about technology, that is precision agriculture, drip irrigation, sprinkler irrigation? So what it would be? So there are different articles on Green Revolution 2.0. You can read and you can prepare. Then there is soil health related issues. So you must be knowing about soil health cards. You know about Save Soil campaign. Also you know about Green Revolution and its associated disadvantage with regard to soil pollution. So soil health is very important. Micronutrients in soil, moisture in soil, the importance of mulching, how it prevents the health, how it actually prevents the health of the soil getting deteriorated, how it maintains the micronutrients in soil, how different organisms in soil helps to help farmers to grow their crops more with more yield. So there are a lot of aspects regarding soil health and there are a lot of concerns regarding soil health. There are different schemes and programs which are introduced by governments with respect to soil health. So you read those points, you compile notes of those issues which will help you in mains examination and interview. Then 39th is farm protest. So because of onion prices, because of agricultural acts, or very low prices to milk, time and again you will hear about farmer protest. So there would be standard questions on farm protest, why there are farm protests, why there are farm protests in one part of country and why and not in others part of country, what is solution about that. So there would be a lot of questions. You prepare this issue also holistically. Now let's go towards next point, that is subsidy. Farm subsidy. You know, subsidy constitute one of the significant part of fiscal policies. We have urea based subsidy and we have nutrient based subsidy, and how this subsidy is one of the important issue of debate and discussions. What were the reforms in fertilizer subsidy? So these topics are important. Next is millets, which are also called nutri cereals, which are also termed as Shri Anna by Government of India. Even India's effort succeeded in declaring International Year of Millets 2023 by United Nations. We had already declared year as International National Year of Millet. I think it was 2018. I'm not sure. But what is the importance of millets? Why there is a need to change the cropping pattern? Why farmers should cultivate millets more? How they are both very important. One, in order to ensure the nutrition. Second, it will also help farmers to realize more produce. How it will lead to more exports, and what are the micronutrient deficiency, how it can help to reduce the hidden hunger. So everything around these millets, you do prepare, you do study about these topics as well. Next is sugarcane. Sugarcane cultivation is one of the favorite topic in interview. So with respect to water table, because sugarcane requires more water to grow, and there has been more inclination towards cultivating sugarcane by the farmers because they realize more income, more prices. There is procurement also. It means they can actually easily get access to the factories and they can sell their sugarcane there. And that's why most of the farmers they get fixed amount. There is a lot of politics around sugarcane also. So all these issues are important. How we can incentivize farmers to change their cropping patterns, or again we can talk about the issue of ethanol and how this ethanol cultivation and sugarcane link is there. Sometimes sugar exports is also in the news. So sugarcane cultivation is again one of the favorite topic. Why there is more sugarcane cultivation in Uttar Pradesh or Maharashtra, or cooperatives associated with that, or politics associated with that. So these issues you should prepare for your interview as well. Then agroclimatic zones. So what are agroclimatic zones? What is the importance of agroclimatic zones? How agroclimatic zones will help you to produce certain particular crops more in that region as compared to other. So how we can cultivate, have the cropping pattern as per agroclimatic zone. How many agroclimatic zones are there as per Planning Commission or National Commission on Agriculture? So there are different aspects. You study those and you make notes of those. Which is also again one of the important topic. Then I would talk about agriculture yield versus agriculture output. So this is very recent topic. When we only talk about agricultural crops, food crops, then that would talk about agriculture yield. But in order to realize more income, more remunerative prices, farmers should go for agriculture output. And what is agriculture output? Agriculture output includes allied activities. So it would be dairy products or poultry, fisheries, so or honey cultivation. So all these would be included in agriculture output. So you can distinguish agriculture output from agriculture yield. And when you measure income of agriculture sector or farmers, agriculture output will help you realize more income. And this also indicates that farmers should go for more diversified activities. So not only agriculture but allied activities which are associated, which are related to agriculture, they should cultivate more, they should go for that more so that they can realize more prices. Then agriculture, after this topic, important topic is recent palm cultivation news, which actually talked about increasing the self-sufficiency in edible oil. There were, because it is cultivated in Southeast Asia, so there was national mission on oil palm, and as per that mission and the scheme, India is also planning to cultivate palm. And there are also other sites like ecological concerns with respect to this cultivation, water table and other indigenous species, etc. So you also read about that. Time and again you will find this issue is raised in newspapers. Then stubble burning. So how should farmers dispose their agriculture waste, post harvest waste? So how we can incentivize farmers so that they do not burn the stubble, because ultimately that will not benefit, because the nutrients and other aspects which are beneficial to the farms will get destroyed, and that will also create air pollution. As we all know that pollution in Delhi, one of the important factors is stubble burning, which is practiced in nearby areas. And there have been attempts by the government to incentivize farmers to move away from stubble burning. So issues around that are also very important. Then crop productivity. Why crop productivity is an important topic? Because as we know, there has been land fragmentation and the land is fixed. So, and we know that there are 86% small and marginal farmers. So it is very difficult at the farmer level to employ technologies to increase agricultural yield, because the land parcel is very small. So crop productivity, we are able to say that is declining in some aspect. So there is crop diversification and crop intensification. So crop diversification and crop intensification can help you to increase crop productivity after certain level. Then 48th point is drought. So how drought is calculated, or how drought is declared? What are the different mechanisms to declare drought? What is the criteria for precipitation or other criteria to declare drought? You need to read about that. Why there are drought in certain part of country, in rain shadow regions, what is the situation of drought? What are the mechanisms so that the farmers who live in drought prone areas are reduced of their risk? How the farmer suicide is linked to drought? How we can actually, there are different initiatives in order to give them alternative employment. So drought issue is again very important. Then there is agricultural insurance. Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana 2. So what is the significance of Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana? How it is different from Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana 1? What are the changes, and how it is significant for the farmers? How it can shield them from risk, vulnerability because of the climate change, because of the erratic rainfalls and other climate related externalities, negative externalities which can destroy the crops, which can reduce the yield of the agricultural crops. So this agricultural insurance help farmers to protect themselves. So Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana is another important topic. You should read about it and you should prepare notes on agricultural insurance. Then three things. Before that, there are few schemes like solar pumps or Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana. So likewise, there are few schemes which have important aim, which have important objectives. So you collect important schemes which are there introduced by government, and you prepare 2 to 3 lines notes on those topics. Now one issue is related with WTO and agriculture sector of India, and second, there was Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. India declined to be part of RCEP because it had huge impact on agriculture sector as well, or Indian farmers. With respect to WTO, I would say, what is agreement on agriculture of WTO? What is peace clause? What is public stock holding limit? What is de minimis? What is the issue of food security which is linked to WTO? How there is disagreement in WTO over permanent solution to the peace clause. So there are a lot of aspects with respect to WTO which includes agriculture as their main central point. So you read about these issues around WTO, that will help you in interview and in mains as well. And there are certain provisions in Indian Constitution, like in Directive Principle of State Policy. You tell me which article of DPSP talks about agriculture. So what is the provision in Indian Constitution and agriculture? So these are some of the topics which I wanted to discuss with you, which I wanted to tell you. You prepare these topics for your interview, for your mains. If you have enough comprehensive knowledge, even if essay comes on agriculture, you can easily write those essays. So I have tried to provide you as much as point I could. I hope this will help you. Thank you.